So thanks for joining everybody. Today's May 19th. This is the CHAOSS community call. I have kind of a light schedule today. So if people have things that they want to bring up, we'll see. So I put the minutes in the chat for everybody. So if you could please go there and add yourself, that would be great. Feeling today or something we don't see. So I'm tired of second there. All right, so starting on the agenda, a few things for today. If you haven't seen, there's not going to be CHAOSS.Con this summer, so I kind of say yay to that. Because I think we can focus on other things, or this has been brought up. One is the podcasts, and one is the blog posts. So we can use these as, I think, really great outreach opportunities for CHAOSS. So anybody want to give us an update on podcasts right now and kind of where we're at? I know we talk about it in the podcast group, but it might be nice to talk about it more broadly here in the community.
Yeah, I can certainly give an update. I see a few new faces, so maybe just a little background. We're starting a podcast because the metrics that we are talking about and the implementations, there's a lot of context to how people use them. And while we try to keep our metric definitions and the work we do as general as possible, to really understand what the metrics are and to get ideas for how to use them, we think it's useful to share specific examples. And so this is what the podcast is all about, to share use cases and experiences with metrics, analytics, and software. And so we recorded the first 5 episodes now. The first one was released at the beginning of this month. The next one will be released at the end of this month, so next week. And then we're going to weekly schedule, so June 5th, June 12th, June 19th, and so on. So we worked through all of the setting up and the processes. We now have an organizing team of 5. We have Sean Goggins, Vinya, Logan, Dylan, Marcy, and Matt Broberg and I are the lead organizers on this effort. And then we have a really great list of panelists who come on. Early panelists included Matt German-Prey and Don Foster. But we reached out last week to grow this list, and I don't even know what the current number is, but we have more than 12 people total involved right now. And it's really great. So the plan going into the future is that every week we record an episode, we bring in a guest who can speak about their specific use case and experience and how they use community metrics, analytics, or software. And yeah, we hope this is an enrichment to the whole CHAOSS community.
Eric, could you talk just a little bit about how, if somebody does want to participate, they could do that?
So there are 3 roles right now. And you can find this on the CHAOSS community handbook page for the podcast. One is obviously if you have a specific use case, context, experience that you would like to talk about, you can come on as a guest. So just email us at podcast@chaoss.community and we will find a time that works for you. If you just want to come on regularly and be part of the panelists, we are also open to having you on as a CHAOSS community member to be part of the panel. And if you want to be a little bit more involved, this is like the highest level of involvement here, you can become an organizer and help schedule calls, find guests to come on the podcast, and coordinate with us the release and all the administrative things that are in the back end. And Matt Broberg just came on. Shout out to Matt for helping set up the podcast and getting everything running.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Matt. I'm just out of curiosity. I mean, how much time does it take for you to do the editing? I mean, I imagine that's quite a bit of work after recording, but.
There's 0 time of editing on the CHAOSS community because we are partnering with the Code Fund podcast network, and they provide the editing and show notes and everything for free for us. They actually have Linode currently as a sponsor. So at the beginning, at the end, we have a little text from Linode, and they pay for all the editing and the hard work of cleaning it up. And they even share the revenue. So CHAOSS does get a portion of the advertising revenue.
Billions of dollars.
Dozens of dollars.
Yeah.
$1.
We have, we have an agreement that we will use those funds in 2 ways. One is a portion of it goes into funding the next outreachy mentorship, and the other part goes into equipment like microphones for the regular panelists or something like that.
I think the last time I had a fancy microphone, it broke down in the middle of a podcast and didn't work for 3 podcasts, and we had no idea what was going on.
Cool. Thank you. I think this is super interesting, and honestly, the podcast is great. So the email address, podcast@CHAOSS.Community, I feel like I should know how to get email addresses on CHAOSS.Community, but I don't know how that happened. So how did we set that up, and how do I get Matt@CHAOSS.Community as my email address?
But can Matt be like one that sends to all the Matts involved in the project? Because that won't be confusing.
I need to move quickly. There's competition.
There's quite a bit of competition right there.
No, it's pretty clear who the primary Matt is. That's fair. Georg, you took care of that. How did you get that done?
Yeah.
This is managed through the Linux Foundation, and so I reached out to Kate Stewart, who forwarded me to Craig, is I think the person then who was finally able to help me with getting this set up.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you. Not related to podcasts, but
Yeah. So
the other. Go ahead, Sean.
no, fine, I'm good.
Okay. I think the other thing, in addition to podcasts, now that CHAOSScon is not happening, is a push for blog posts. So there's a link there to the blog posts. There have been, I think, recent posts from Dawn and Tola. And Georg, did you post as well? I think you did.
Yeah, I wrote one about the CHAOSS podcast.
Well, that's right. It got stuck in a circle on itself. So if anybody would like to blog, I think there have been a couple comments, right? These can be short, they can be quick. You can embed video in it if you'd like. So if you were going to participate in CHAOSScon, doing a presentation, perhaps that's a great way to still get that conversation out there. I'm going to turn to Kevin. So I do highly encourage everybody to consider even just a short blog about metrics or about about the project. Kevin, what's the best way? Is Kevin on?
I am.
Okay, what's the best way to get the blog post done and then up on the website?
The process is really quite easy, actually, and there are directions on the in the CHAOSS website GitHub repository. So just you create the blog post in a markdown file, and you put in a pull request to the website repository. So it's the folder that we drop those blog posts in is. It's in the community folder.
Can you put it in the minutes when you get a chance?
And then the yeah, so the yes.
Okay.
So I put it into the chat right now, and I'll put it into the minutes now. So
Okay.
add a PR to yep, there we go. So pretty easy. When those come in, I will I do some minimal copy editing on it, but I will not edit it otherwise. But the process to get that on the website can be very fast.
All right. Right on. Thanks for doing that and making the process easy. And thanks for those.
Yeah, I think mine took all of a couple of hours to get live on the website, so it's not hard. And if you don't want to write a blog post, record a really cool video and write 2 sentences about it. That counts as a blog post.
I will say this: I do minimal copy editing on it, but if there are people out there who are uncomfortable writing and they would like more copy editing, I would be happy to do that if you just reach out and let me know.
I believe Jared and I have been planning for several months now a blog post introducing metric stuff. So I think I will probably take advantage of that.
Awesome. And then just a note too, we do ask all 10 yes, we have 10 Google Summer of Code and Outreachy mentees this summer. So we do ask them to write blog posts as well. And this would seem to be a sensible place to encourage them to post those blogs, right? So then that's also a call to folks who are serving as mentors for Google Summer of Code and Outreachy. Remember to encourage your students to do these weekly write-ups.
I think the one thing we might have to do there is that Google's used to seeing each student have a blog that's kind of linear and has a series of posts that represents their work through the summer. I don't know if there's a way for us to do that if they're all CHAOSS blog posts. I don't think you could easily track which student made which. Like if I wanted to see a student's collection of posts from the summer, I think that would be hard.
I get what you're saying.
What we could do is ask, they can reblog.
I mean, there is.
I mean, a lot of them are
search
not.
functionality within.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, a lot of the Google Summer of Code blog posts are super granular.
Wait, what did you say, Kevin? What's possible?
There is search functionality within WordPress. I mean, you can sort the blogs by the author or by the
You should
titles
be able-
generally. Yeah.
You should be able to just collect an authorial tag, and then you can link to that authorial tag in the same way that you would a page anchor, and then that authorial tag will just bring up every blog they've ever written.
Except that the authorial tag is Kevin for all of them.
Yeah, and
Because of the way it's set
handful,
up. It's not set up like a regular blog.
Wow, trailblazing them blogs, aren't you, Kevin?
Well, so you have to have to do the blog. You have to have access to the WordPress site. So since we submit them through the GitHub repository, what happens is they're all submitted to me, and my handle on the website is just CHAOSS Community. So when a blog comes in, it's posted on the website as from the CHAOSS Community, and then within the blog, the by so-and-so is said.
Could we use tags?
Yes, we could tag by people. We could also have descriptive titles that would allow for easier sorting. So right now, the general title of the blogs is kind of a descriptive title. And then when we look into it, or when we get into the actual blog itself, the blog will have a title that the author has given. So for example, sorry, let me go to the.
So if we can do tags by author or by Google Summer of Code project or something, then we could, I think WordPress has a way to see all blog posts that are just related to that. And that's what we could turn in, or the students could turn into Google Summer of Code.
Yes.
Okay, so could I just kind of ask Kevin, could you kind of take a look at that workflow and how that might work best for addressing Sean's point of tracking kind of that student work over the course of summer, enabling that to get done, but then also being able to filter by student or project? Did I catch that right? We kind of have two things that we're doing here. So there's the one-off blog post, right? Just the person who submits a blog post. And then there's also the tracking the blog post that's being done by a student over a period of time. Sean, that was your point?
I mean, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, so my understanding is Google wants to see that student's blog, like this is that student's blog. So we have to have a way to present it that way. Another solution might be to have them reblog. This happens all the time. People put content on their own blog and then they reblog it on a community site.
That's what we're doing with RIA. So RIA is posting on Medium, and then we are syndicating that content on sociallyconstructed.online. And then from what I understand, there's also the opportunity to syndicate it on CHAOSS.
Gotcha. Okay, so they would just keep a Medium blog. And then
Yeah,
they could...
just remember the rel canonical tag. Fine.
Okay. Okay. Cool, thank you.
I've got a question. So
Yeah.
we have kind of a monolithic blog system right now where all of them kind of go through the same area. Is that what we're looking for? Because I mean, like we have a mentorship under community, we have a CHAOSS mentorship page that's pretty well built. Why don't we, if we could have the functionality for it, why don't we put like a mentorship blog under there, or have a kind of like a way to see all the mentorship stuff in one place instead of having to search a tag, just it's on a page. I'm not sure what people think about that, but.
Honestly, I'm afraid I don't know enough about how the site works via WordPress to be able to talk about how to structure it best.
Yeah, that's where I am too. That's the idea that came to mind for me.
So I might I put an action item in for Kevin, if you don't mind, to take a look at how we could create a workflow for the students to post their blogs that is consistent for students, that doesn't, it's not like one style for one student, a second style for a second student, a third style for a third student, such that we have 10 different styles coming in with respect to blogging. And we could kind of articulate that to the mentees as to how to get that done. Would that be all right, Kevin? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, maybe Kevin's microphone is not working today.
I'm not sure I understand the reason for formalizing the voice. Can you explain that?
It's so that we don't have, so that we don't have Kevin kind of managing 10 different workflows for 10 different students if they want to get their information on the CHAOSS site.
Oh,
There's
so the
consistent.
process, not the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
content.
No, just the process. Yep.
All right. That confused me. I apologize.
No. Maybe I didn't explain it clearly. So, all right, cool. Great. Moving on. Any other thoughts on blog posts or podcasts in lieu of CHAOSScon? All right. I just wanted to give an update. This fell off last week's call. So with respect to community reports, all right. So the goal here, at least in my mind, is to offer a way for projects to produce high-level community reports based on CHAOSS metrics. And so this is a one-page report that would be a PDF that is able to be produced for a community. It doesn't provide a deep level look into your community, say for example, the work that is being done, say with Zephyr, or the work that Don you're doing at VMware, right? This is just this kind of this high level look at some of the community health metrics that we have in the CHAOSS project. All right, so why do this in the first place? So I think there are a lot of projects out there that maybe don't have the resources to do kind of these deeper dives, and they wouldn't mind just kind of a broad level look at their community activity or community health metrics. Right? I think it's a way for the CHAOSS project to hopefully provide a low overhead way of getting these metrics in front of communities. And I had a third reason, but I don't remember what it was. So we've been talking about these reports for a while now, and the sample report here is from Jenkins X, and we've been working with Kara, who's been really great, just to think through kind of what the community report could be, kind of at this high level. This took a long time for us to develop, meaning it took like months to actually put this report together for no reason whatsoever. And so if we want to be able to provide these reports in the CHAOSS project, we need to obviously think about the workflow to get those reports developed and in front of people. So we were talking with Brian Warner and Annie LaRue at the Linux Foundation about helping think through processes by which folks could request a report, how they would set things like timeframes, how they would set things like which repositories to take a look at, how the reports could be auto-generated to some degree, and then produced in this PDF form that could be shared with the folks that are making the request. So this is kind of where we're at with the community reports. What do people think about this as a first reaction? So again, a way for the project to produce, a way for somebody to come to the CHAOSS project, probably the CHAOSS webpage, say, I would love to have a high-level community report on this time frame, on these repositories, enter that information, push button, and get PDF report back within, I don't know, 3 days.
I think from a marketing perspective, as far as an onboarding structure goes, if you have a newer individual and they're coming into CHAOSS, what they want is a quick win, not necessarily a comprehensive learning session. So maybe rather than having like this high-end report, we go the opposite route and have a lead magnet kind of tripwire PDF that says, here's how to get one metric set up. This will be a metric that we think matters for your community by and large. And then you say, you set this up, let us know how it goes. And in a week, we'll send you an email that includes one extra augmentation that you can do. And then that works as like a really good onboarding tactic, rather than a high-level report that says, here's all the things that you can do, because that to me seems like it would be more overwhelming.
It is a
Yeah.
one-pager, the first report.
And it only is focusing on, 10 of the 30 metrics
But I
that
would say focus on one, like just say, get this metric, here's how it's going to explain your community's story. And then that one highly specific lead magnet offer is going to lead to another augmentation. And then that will kind of jumpstart that onboarding process in a highly specific way.
Yeah.
So what's our overall goal for doing this? Is this to encourage people to use our metrics, or just helping with their like adoption of our metrics or implementation?
Yeah. So I think, at least in my mind, right? So
Yeah.
these are the goals of in my mind, right? It's to, as Samantha pointed out, it's to get people to participate in the project. So I think that's what you're meaning by onboarding. Just, how do we get people to become involved in the project? And what are the low overhead ways that we can get this information in front of people, right? So that's one of the things. The other is that there are large organizations that can do detailed metric work because they have resources to do that work. But there are a lot of communities that are small and don't really have the ability to do that work. And how can we even begin to get any information in front of those communities? And so I'm trying to balance like getting some information as a way to market the work that we're doing, and be useful to the communities, while also balancing against additional work inside of the CHAOSS community. So how can we kind of achieve those two things without creating too much overhead internally?
So I think the advantage of doing like a one pager like this is that if you do this for something like Jenkins X will share it with their community, and you get a lot of broad visibility for CHAOSS that you wouldn't get if you were doing like a single metric for a single person. I think this serves more of the kind of broad visibility, broad outreach that will bring people into the community. I mean, that's just kind of my perspective on it.
Yeah.
I love that. I was thinking about, it's like the time to value is something I think of from like a product marketing point of view, and like the immediacy of the value, or like the low lift to getting to the value, even if it takes a few days turnaround. Like as if we throttled how many of these we did, but we were regularly using our own metrics, there's also like a dog fooding or champagning, whatever you want to use as a metaphor. But the idea that like we have to use our own metrics and see if they make sense for us for this project. And that will validate our own understanding of it and our ability to communicate that. So like as an exercise for us as a community of being able to coherently use our own tooling, I think this is a huge idea. I think the current structure, I'm with Venia on like, I don't know for me if it's too much information or just not enough annotation and the structure of it. But if we could basically introduce people to the working groups and show information that's relevant to each part of the working group up front, like that'd be freaking cool. Like, and we don't have to do a lot of them. It could be a long queue, or just targeted outreach. But if we regularly did a cadence of these, I think we'd learn a lot.
Yeah, and to kind of elaborate, when it comes to building a lead magnet for metrics, I definitely recommend looking at the way that Google Data Studio has been launching a lot of their product announcements, where they just have a highly specific lead magnet that says, here's how to tell this aspect of your story using these 3 metrics. And then we could create a one-page lead magnet, essentially, that says, here's how to build this setup. In a week, we'll follow up with, here's this extra augmentation that you can do to get started. And it satisfies this highly specific need that leads to a highly specific quick win, which is going to generate more community reciprocity and affiliation.
I think you probably need to define what you mean by lead. I forgot what you called it, lead magnet.
Oh,
because a lot of people on this call aren't going to be familiar from more kind of academic, less marketing environments. I think a lot of people don't know what you're talking about. That's my guess. Not to speak for other people.
A lead magnet is essentially a tool that's used in marketing to give people a very quick win that essentially states, hey, we recognize you're new here. Here's this one thing that you can do, and it's value in advance. So it's basically just a one-page, highly specific thing that provides that value without necessarily increasing their workload.
So on that, why were you suggesting that they set up software themselves and do this? No, I thought I heard you say that.
PDF that says, load this in, get it started. The context is, I don't want to go into anything because I don't want to take too much time, but the context is, if you think about Constant Contact, this email marketing platform, what they used to have in their onboarding process was you come in and then you upload your list of contacts to email them. And a lot of people were like, oh, wow, that definitely sounds a little bit worrisome. Not sure if I trust this company or not. And it seems kind of complicated to have to match this spreadsheet. When they switched that process from upload your contact list to, all right, upload your logo. Great, you've done that. Now create your email template. Here's a fun, creative thing that you can do. Hey, look, you're staring at your brand. Now upload your Excel sheet. It was just a change in process that changed the relationship. There was no change in the content or what you were doing. It was just a change in order from very pleasant, nice, quick win of bam, there's your logo. Bam, there's your email template. And then they were perfectly fine to do the contact list. So a lead magnet essentially does the exact same thing with more complex systems like CHAOSS.
Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's great. I mean, the Jenkins X obviously is a good community, and I mean, the fact that we're doing this with them or for them is great. But do we have a criteria on? Because I think Matt, you brought up a good point. Like in terms of like, you know, do we need to throttle in? Who do we want to do this for? Do we have a criteria on who we're going to do this for? Like, will we do this when a 5 people open source community comes up and says, help me put together a one pager? Will we say yes? Or, and then if we do something, if we publish like a one pager, are we asking for anything in return? I mean, I'm not just talking about dollars, but you know, what do we want in return? Is to raise our visibility or adoption of our metrics?
Yep. I don't know. It's a completely fair question, because that's that balance of overwork, right? So we try to provide a value of getting this information in front of folks, but we can't do it at the expense of somebody having to kind of manage the back end work to get this done. Right. That doesn't work. So how do we, if throttling the number of requests has to be an issue, I'm not sure. I don't know what that might be, but it's a 100% fair question.
Right. I mean, like somebody like Jenkins X is a no-brainer, right? But you know, if it's, I mean, I don't want to use a word like obscure, but like a smaller community that, you know, somebody will have to spend time working with them and put this together. And
so the hope would be is that it's largely automated. I mean, that's the hope here. And so that there's as little human time spent as possible.
That would be such a cool goal to pursue. Like, I don't know what it would take for us to get there, but if we could make something heavily automated that could send, and yeah, like maybe we have to add some context on top because, you know, metrics don't speak for themselves. We have some expertise that layer on top, That would be sweet.
Man,
Yeah,
I
definitely
think,
additional effort, but skillful effort for us.
yeah, I think, I don't think there's any question it can be automated.
So so a couple of comments here. So I mean, the goal would be to have a web page that asks for this information, right? So in terms of kind of the lead, what was it called again? You're right, I didn't know what it was called.
I just put the definition of
Oh,
a
lead magnet. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, the idea would be is to ask for a low overhead amount of information, right? What's the date range? What are the repositories you're looking at? Kind of full stop. And then what's delivered back is this one-page PDF. And if it's to Matt B's point, right? If it's metrics from each one of the working groups, that's a super great idea, right? Something that could come back in short order to the requester. And if that process, without context at the moment, could be automated, that would be great from my perspective. And I think is that the lead magnet? I mean, it's a low overhead request for information. Like, where do you want us to look? Us meaning the tooling. We can produce this report as a PDF and have it come back to you within 2 to 3 days. It's slightly context free at the moment, right? Just to generate the metrics. And it could be 5. I mean, it's not a overwhelming set of metrics. The challenge then in providing context is, I think, pretty hard because every metric, as we've talked about, is meaningful to different folks in different settings. So the context part would be hard, I think.
I think that this is like a lead to, I mean, the context comes from, okay, this is interesting. I have another question.
Yes.
Because everybody's context is different and everybody's got another question.
And I love that point, Sean, because you could
I've done stakeholder reports with a number of people, and they're not simple. When you get into actually solving the problems they want, the answers are not on a one-pager, but the one-pager shows some capacity.
And what if we kind of basically plan for that, where like the one pager is the metrics and there's a accompanying set of questions for each section? Like, here's your one page report. Here are questions you can ask yourself about those. Like, without knowing their specific ends, we can list a few of the top questions that we recommend people ask about, what does it mean for our performance, like for time to close to be over X number of days? What does it mean for risk to be at this, right? Like, give them some further curiosity and say the call to action may depend, but I'm imagining getting involved in CHAOSS would be one of them.
One idea might be to target people who are performing a specific task in an online community, and then give them the ability to calculate the ROI using the metrics dashboard. So you could actually say, calculate the or something like that, just highly specific. And then you can report on that rather than general, here's what we do.
You broke up a little bit at the beginning. I'm not quite sure I got the full gist of your proposal.
Oh, so just write something that reports out on a specific action that is recurring in a target audience's online community. So if they're running online events, your lead magnet would be how to calculate the ROI on your online event, and it would come with a template that says, insert your number, insert your number, insert your number, bam, here it is. By the way, we can do this a whole bunch more on the actual CHAOSS platform.
You could also link to a special URL that was sort of like how to interpret this report that would also shoot them off into the places where they could participate.
I like that too. That's also really good.
Yeah. This is all really a lot of great suggestions. Thank you very much for all of this. So more to come on that. Oh, sorry. Thank you for fixing that. I guess my last few updates, I think I may have said this last week or in passing to a few folks. One of the things we're going to be doing is for the Google Summer of Code and outreachy mentees, we're going to pay for them to attend OSSNA. So it's $50. So it's not very much money. And we went through the approval process to get that done internally. So we're going to use the Community Bridge funds to do that. I'm trying to figure out the least overheady way to get that done. So I would love to, because we have the money internal at Community Bridge, I'm trying to reach out to the Linux Foundation, seeing if they can just essentially pull the money out that way. This may be more detail than you need. See what I'm saying? As opposed to having the students register and then go to Community Bridge and then request a refund for $50 and I have to do that 10 times. Anyway, so I thought that was a really nice, we're gonna do
maybe LF events team can just generate a separate code for these students, right? And then they could just deduct the money from, I mean, yeah, too much detail, but you know, like why, I don't think students should have to worry about like beyond just using a code. Like, I don't want them to worry about like Community Bridge. Like, we don't even want to deal with them. Like, why should students, right? But,
good
yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's pretty simple to do. And,
it seems like it should be, right?
in theory, but
sure, I'll send one email and it will all be done.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. That's a great idea. Thank you. Yes, yeah, Venu, hey, you're on. You're you might like that idea.
Yeah, I just want to
all
say
right.
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And then Kevin, there's been a lot of activity on the web page. Do you have updates on that at the moment? Is Kevin on?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we're just working through there was some fairly simple issues that have been created over the past 6 months. So with the Google Summer of Code and outreachy interns, we're getting a little bit of traffic with interns who would like to do some stuff on the website. So I'm trying to create issues for them. It would be really helpful if everyone on the call could actually take a little bit of time and maybe peek at the website and recommend some changes or edits if they're necessary. That would be great. Maybe create a few issues.
Did you create isn't there a Google Summer of Code page on the website, or is that in the works?
There is a one of the first things that they created was the Google Summer of Code alumni page, which lists all of our previous Google Summer of Code.
Can you drop that in the chat or the minutes here?
Yeah.
I was looking for it straight off of the web page.
It's in the navigation, the community navigation, I believe.
See it. I just see CHAOSS.Cast blog, CHAOSS member. Oh, mentorship.
Yeah.
Never mind. Sorry.
I'm happy to name that something else if it's not completely obvious what that is.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And then weren't you also going to change? There was also some movement on recognizing folks who had been on the CHAOSS board who are no longer on the board anymore.
Yes, we are working on that currently.
Okay.
We have some pull request work that is being done on that currently. It's integrating images into markdown files and then pulling them into WordPress. There are all sorts of image issues that come up.
Okay.
So, but we are working through those.
Okay, that sounds good. Those are the two that I saw that I was kind of tracking, the mentorship stuff and the board page. Were those the two main ones?
I mean, those are two issues that are being worked on.
Okay.
There are some other issues in the repository, and I know from peeking at the website that there are a few tasks that I would like to add that I just need to take the time and kind of write out the directions for them.
Okay. Thanks.
So and once again, if anyone, I would love to get more eyes on the website, and recommendations for how we can make it better would be great.
Okay.
So.
There was a comment from Matt Ruberg.
Just a technical thing, Kevin. I have to do a lot of translating using different tools. If I can be helpful at all, let me know. But just through a tip in, that works for me when copying and pasting into Drupal and a WordPress site I run. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't work for your workflow, I'm always happy to brainstorm that stuff.
You said Pandoc?
Yeah, Pandoc is a wonderful command line utility that is its own freaking zeitgeist in there, but you just have to say input file and output file, and it'll just plop it right out for you. It's absolutely wonderful. And I always forget the syntax, so this is a good time to pitch. There's a command line utility called TLDR, which is like a better man page. It actually shows you the syntax, and that's it. So.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We have a minute left. Maybe actually, I should never start anything by saying I don't have much on the agenda today.
Yeah. Well,
never. I should never ever say that.
No, there's always a lot to talk about.
The biggest issue is I'm on the call and I'm just.
Oh, this is super helpful. This is all super duper helpful. So thank you.
You're kidding? Your free mentoring and marketing is making us all smarter.
Yeah. Great. I don't suppose were there any metric like timing updates or anything like that anybody want to just put out here? I think we're pretty good on when our meetings are. So the calendar is pretty up to date. So I think we're all good there.
Do we have a formal metrics release for the fall before or what is our next formal metrics release date? Do we have that put out there?
That's a good question. When was it? January 31st was when was our last one? January 31?
It was before FOSDEM.
Yes.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, January.
March, April, May,
31.
July, end of July.
That seems totally reasonable to me.
I'm not completely certain that we have actually agreed on a 6-month cadence for regular releases. I think we've talked in the past about once a year. We've talked about kind of doing them kind of around the same time period as the CHAOSS.Cons. I don't think we'd actually decided on any regular cadence.
Why don't we get to the top of next week's call?
Yeah. Yeah, we've basically been following OSSNA and FOSDEM, and since we're event free, probably even in FOSDEM, we should probably talk about it.
Right on. I'll put that at the top. So thanks everybody. We're at the 10 minutes to go, 9 minutes to go.
All right. Later.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Great
Bye,
concept.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks all.